Imagine your friend scrolling through your beautifully designed cocktail menu, instantly knowing exactly what they want and being excited to try it. That's the power of effective menu design, and you're about to unlock it. Hello and welcome to The Sunken Compass, my home bar. I'm Angela, your haunted hostess and creator of Pretty Spooky, which is a lifestyle brand and the grown-up's guide for how to have Halloween fun year-round. Since Tiki feels like the grown-up version of Halloween, I find ways to reduce its sugary impacts for my home bar guests and myself to keep the fun going year-round. In a recent episode about 10 dead wrong home bartending mistakes, the first mistake was one of my own. Never ask your guest, "What's your poison?" As in my case, you're likely to get a reply for something that you're not prepared to make. And settling for something else is just a bit of a letdown for everyone. From that experience, I learned quickly that it's much better to present a gorgeous menu of a dozen or so options that you're always prepared to whip up at any time. This video isn't just about making things look pretty. It's about making your drinks irresistible by mastering the art of menu design without ever touching the graphic design program. So in this episode of Pretty Spooky Presents, I'll show you how to choose the cocktail that'll go on your menu, how to make adjustments for your tastes and dietary restrictions, and how to put it all together in an attractive and fun package using just the basic tools that you already have on your computer. Plus, we'll roll the dice, literally, and make whichever drink the dice indicate to show just how easy it is to impress your guests on the spot. For the Sunken Compass, I've created an entire menu of lower carb drink options based on some of the classics and Tiki recipes from the past for several reasons. And while there isn't too much that is healthy about any cocktail, for me, every little bit helps. So wherever I can, I cut the carbs but keep all the flavor, and I call this my low carb on the high seas approach to Tiki cocktails. So how do you choose which cocktails to put on your menu? I started by making a list of some of the favorites that we make at home most often, which means I'm likely to have the ingredients on hand. Then I made sure I covered all of the flavor categories so guests can choose from options ranging from light, tangy, and fruity to spicy or complex, or rich, sweet, and creamy. For those who are not yet ready to set sail on new adventures, I made sure there were cocktails that guests would recognize, so there's a level of familiarity and comfort, as well as some more adventurous options for guests who are ready to explore more exotic flavors. And all of them still suit my personal tastes and dietary restrictions. From there, I made adjustments to the recipes to avoid my personal allergens like eggs and reduce carbs as much as possible without sacrificing flavor. For example, I know that coconut drinks like the pina colada and the painkiller are very popular, but they don't quite fit into the category of low carb. So I created the Gully Washer Punch, inspired by a drink from the Bahamas known as Sky Juice. It gives that same fluffy, creamy, coconutty goodness without relying on sugary juices like pineapple and orange juice. Once I had a basic list of the 12 drinks and their recipes, I printed them on plain printer paper. It just took a while to try them out and make adjustments. When I was certain that I had the recipes dialed in and the measurements were perfect, I started the design phase. I knew that I wanted a 4-page menu that consisted of a cover page with the backstory or lore of the Sunken Compass. This gives guests something to peruse while I make their drinks and adds a little extra immersion to their experience. So I wrote the copy and set it aside to come back and edit later while I worked on the rest. I also knew that I wanted the 2 pages or the spread reserved for the 12 cocktails, and the back page would have an interactive version of Cocktail Bingo, which is a group effort that encourages guests to try new flavors. Now it was time to make the background, which I knew I wanted to be a tapa cloth pattern, but couldn't find one that was simple enough not to detract from the writing and images that would overlay it. Because my menu is home use only, I chose the teeniest parts of different tapa patterns, clipped them as screenshots, and pasted them as images to a Pages or Word document. Since they were all different colors and sizes, I began adjusting the scale, tint, warmth, saturation, and contrast until I got them all to a uniform shade. It was then that I digitally wove my new tapa cloth to make my own background. Once I was pleased with the placement, I created a PDF to further fine-tune the color and the image as a whole. From there, I used separate text boxes for the title of each drink and a new text box for the description of each drink. I knew that using the same font and color for all of the titles, making sure to keep the size the same, would help create visual cohesiveness, and using different but complementary font and color for all of the descriptions would create visual interest. I was certain that I wanted the pictures on the menu to actually look like the drink my guests would receive. I wanted the pictures to look more like graphic illustrations on mid-century tiki bar menus that we all know and love. But I cannot draw, and I'm not a graphic designer. So, since my menus are for home use only, I found actual pictures of the glassware that I own, clipped the screenshot, and used the tools that came on my computer to remove the background, adjust tone and contrast, and add an outline. I ended up with the result that resembled those mid-century menu graphics. I used the basic shapes and fills setting to digitally pour the cocktails into the glassware. Garnishes were added later by using a combination of clipped and adjusted images and combining basic shapes and fills to get the look of the garnish that I plan to use on each drink. To further enhance the tropical tiki vibe, I found images of various jungle plants, screen clipped the parts that I wanted, removed the backgrounds, and adjusted size, temperature, contrast, etc. until I got the cohesive look that I was after. These leaves not only added a layer of visual interest, but they gave a landing place for the tiny skull and crossbones for my strength rating system. Following the example of the great tiki masters of the past, my guests will know just how far into the depths they want to wade, or swim, or if they want to get totally shipwrecked. I already made the entrance sign to my bar, so I replicated that and made it the logo, as well as the header and footer to give visual bookends of where the drink options begin and end. I reused all of the fonts and images from the inside to create the bingo game on the back. I cut repositionable bingo markers by using decorative punches on contact paper so guests can mark which drinks have already been tried by the group in an effort to achieve bingo together. Finally, it's time to turn your attention back to the front cover. Revise the backstory and choose the images that complement your theme. This is the first impression your guests will get as you hand them the menu, so you need to make sure it's a real showstopper. Once I was happy with my results, I saved the document to PDF, printed it on basic cardstock on my home printer using the photo glossy setting, even though I wasn't using photo paper, to get the most ink saturation possible. I made sure to order 8.5 by 11-inch menu sleeves, and I'm so thrilled with the result. And then I made the bartender's copy in the same format, but with the recipes in place of the guest descriptions. That way my first mate can substitute at the bar when I'm busy. And to add an adventurous twist, I'll let the dice choose my cocktail. Plus, it proves that I'm prepared to make any of these 12 cocktails anytime, any day. So let's see which one of these 12 cocktails I get to enjoy. Number 2, Suffering Bastard. The Sunken Compass guest menu describes the Suffering Bastard as crafted with bourbon or rich rum, gin, lime, Angostura bitters, topped with sugar-free ginger beer and homemade ginger syrup, garnished with mint. And since I don't drink bourbon, mine is the Suffering Rum Bastard. The Sunken Compass bartender's menu lists the ingredients for the Suffering Bastard as half-ounce lime juice, 2 dashes Angostura bitters, half-ounce ginger syrup. You can find the recipe for my ginger syrup linked in the description. 1 ounce bourbon or rum, 1 ounce gin, spindle blend or shake with ice. Pour into the glassware pictured on your menu. Top with 1 ounce ginger beer. Add more ice to fill and garnish with a sprig of mint. If you made your own drop-dead gorgeous home bar menu and tried the drink recipe, let me know what you thought and how it went in the comments. I'd love to know how these design tips and how the recipe worked out for you, and if you'd like yours to be low carb on the high seas now too. I loved being your haunted hostess. You were a wonderful guest and you're welcome back always. Farewell until next time. Cheers. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be good. Imagine your friends being... That's exactly what I said. That's the... I'm Angela, your haunted hostess, and... Why don't I know this? I'm Angela... From that experience, I learned... And It's a big letdown for everyone. I'm gonna trip over the cord. Okay, we are recording. Should we be though? In an effort to achieve group bingo. All of the things. Prince. Yeah, that's gonna be a big tongue twister. I made sure to order 11 and a half. That's not what those are. Let's try that one more time. Oh my gosh. And to add an adventurous tryst? That's exactly what I said. List the ingredients for the stuffing. If you made your own drop-dead gorgeous home bar recipe and tried, that's not a recipe. Hey, that's not a recipe. I'd love to know how these design tips and recipes worked out for you. I'm so thirsty. Farewell until next time. Cheers. I have no drink to cheers you.